Nuka-Cola is a drink so iconic that 200 years after the world ended, people still obsess over it like it's liquid gold. Raiders will kill you for it, collectors will hoard it, and some poor bastard out there has definitely tried to bathe in it. And to be honest, I wouldn't blame them. Because if you told me you could somehow get a Nuka-Cola bath without your skin peeling off, I'd definitely sign up immediately. In the pre-war world, it was the most successful soda in America, crushing its competitors with a mix of shady corporate tactics, brilliant marketing, and enough sugar to make a death row diabetic. It had dozens of flavors, a massive theme park, and its creator was so rich that when he died, his brain was literally put in a jar so he could keep running the company forever. This was no ordinary soda. Nuka-Cola wasn't just a drink, it was a fucking lifestyle. A beverage that helped shape the world before the bombs fell. Can you imagine a world where this wasn't a thing? It's probably just as terrible as it sounds. But Nuka-Cola's history isn't just about capitalism run amok. It's also a story of government conspiracies, nuclear weaponry, and science so unethical even Voltec might have taken notes. We're talking about a drink so powerful it made people believe it could solve world problems, when in fact it was just making everyone addicted to high fructose corn syrup and making corporate execs even richer. So sit back, crack open a lukewarm bottle of Nuka-Cola, or don't because it might actually be radioactive, and let's dive into the full history of the Wasteland's most dangerous beverage. The story of Nuka-Cola begins in the year 2044, when John Caleb Bradburton, a businessman with the name of a Final Fantasy character, decided to create a new soft drink. His goal? To make something that was sweeter than any other soda on the market, because apparently America hadn't invented diabetes fast enough. Bradburton's drink contained 17 different fruit essences, an obscene amount of caffeine, and enough sugar to make a dentist cry. The FDA probably considered banning it, but this was Fallout America, where the government was too busy preparing for nuclear war to give a shit about soda. So instead of a government crackdown, they gave him an award for Innovative Product of the Year, or whatever. It was like a fever dream of excess and corporate greed combined with America's love for anything that could kill you faster than actual war. And by October 2044, the first bottles of Nuka-Cola hit store shelves, and within 6 months, it became the most popular soft drink in the United States. Because, of course it did. I mean, who doesn't want to be addicted to a beverage that's basically liquid candy with a hint of possible death? But blame the consumer, blame the absurd marketing, the bright shiny bottles, and the fact that Bradburton was already pulling all the strings with some weird level of influence. This was just the beginning of a long reign of sugary terror. By the 2050s, Nuka-Cola was selling better than water, which is concerning because, last I checked, one of those things is required for survival. The company steamrolled its competitors, including Sunset Sarsaparilla, the drink of choice for cowboys and old-timey prospectors, which never stood a chance against a soda with actual marketing money behind it. Let's face it, the only people still drinking Sunset Sarsaparilla were probably high on something else. Vim Pop, a New England-based soft drink that only really survived because Maine is just far enough from the rest of civilization to ignore trends. But once the Nuka-Cola juggernaut started rolling, the folks up in Maine probably didn't even see it coming. And by dominant, I mean brutal corporate tactics, including exclusivity deals that shut out competitors. If you weren't drinking Nuka-Cola, you were literally nowhere. Supermarkets might as well have been selling empty shelves instead of competition. Nuka-Cola was the only thing you could get. Relentless ad campaigns that made people associate happiness with a bottle of glorified sugar water. Suddenly, people didn't know how to feel joy without a cold Nuka-Cola in their hand. Government lobbying that may or may not have been illegal. Bradburton and his team had friends in high places, and the legal system was far too busy to care about the catastrophic side effect of drinking pure sugar with a bit of radioactive flair. By 2060, if you lived in the United States and weren't drinking Nuka-Cola, you were probably already dead. If the Great War didn't get you, Nuka-Cola's caffeine definitely might have. At this point, the Nuka-Cola Corporation could have called it a day and just coasted. But no, Bradburton was the kind of CEO who didn't believe in slowing down, even if it meant risking actual human lives. Kinda sounds a bit too similar to some of our tech CEOs. This guy wasn't in the soft drink business. He was in the power business, and the only thing more addictive than his soda was the influence it gave him. So in the year 2067, they released Nuka-Cola Quantum, a new version of the drink that contained an experimental isotope that literally made it glow. Yeah, you heard that right. The United fucking States government had been developing new radioactive compounds, and someone at Nuka-Cola decided to put them in a fucking beverage. Who thought, hey, what's the worst that could happen if we make soda glow in the dark? If you drank this thing, you might light up a room without even trying. The result? Twice the caffeine. Your heart was beating so fast you could power a small city. Twice the sugar, because why not make your blood sugar level resemble a Fallout enemy's health bar? A slight chance of internal organ failure. Let's be real though, you were probably just in it for the glow. The government allegedly investigated whether quantum was unsafe for human consumption, but considering they also wanted to use it in military rations, I think we all know how that went. When you're in charge of nuking everything into oblivion, a glowing drink isn't a problem, it's a feature. In 2050, Brad Burton had another ridiculous idea. What if he built an entire theme park dedicated to Nuka-Cola? So he did, because when you have unlimited money, nobody cares to tell you to fucking stop. Money and megalomania go hand in hand. No one questioned his decision, especially when he threw in a bunch of animatronic mascots and wild animals to make the whole thing seem like a fever dream come to life. Nuka-World was a massive theme park with a working monorail, which definitely had safety violation. As long as it didn't blow up, it was considered a success. Animatronic mascots that were absolutely haunted. Have you ever seen a giant talking bear with a broken voice box trying to greet a visitor? No? Well, now you know why they don't make them like they used to. The giant bottling plants that kept making Nuka-Cola even after the world fucking ended. The plant was still churning out bottles of soda for who knows who. It's like the factory never knew the world had turned into a radioactive nightmare. The park had multiple zones like Nuka-Town USA, which is basically an overpriced shopping mall disguised as a theme park. Everyone was trying to sell you stuff, except instead of actual goods, it was mostly just Nuka-Cola branded everything. Galactic Zone, where you could drink soda and question your own existence. After a few hours of glowing blue liquid, the existential dread started to kick in. Dry Rock Gulch, for people who wanted cowboys with their diabetes, because who doesn't want to experience the Old West while pumping caffeine directly into their veins? Safari Adventure, which had actual wild animals because safety is for losers. Probably the only zone that didn't need glowing drinks to cause chaos. Kiddie Kingdom, a theme park for children that became a ghoul-infested nightmare after the bombs dropped. The irony was lost on no one. Fun fact, Brad Burton literally lived beneath Nuka-World in a secret bunker because he was so obsessed with his own brand that he couldn't leave it behind. So when he died, his brain was sort of removed from his body and hooked up to a computer so he could keep thinking about soda for eternity. Which is both pretty impressive and deeply, deeply stupid. There's something oddly tragic about the idea of a guy's consciousness being trapped in an infinite loop of what's the next big soda innovation. Then in 2077, the Great War happened. Nuclear fire rained down, civilization ended, and Nuka-Cola somehow survived better than humanity did. 200 years later, people still drink it, still fight over it, and still haven't questioned why it hasn't expired yet. Raiders hoard it, some people will kill for a bottle of Quantum. It's probably like a weird form of status for them. Ghouls probably drink it to stay sane. The stuff is so radioactive, it might even give them sort of twisted comfort in a world that doesn't make sense. Vault dwellers use it as currency. Nothing says I'm rich like a bottle of Nuka-Cola in a post-apocalyptic world. And the vending machines? Yeah, they still work. It's like Nuka-Cola machines were built by some cosmic force that refused to let them die, even though the world had ended. Could have been the fallout, could have been Brad Burton's obsessive need to be part of everything. At this point, I don't know what's more impressive, the fact that Nuka-Cola survived the apocalypse or the fact that its bottles are more structurally sound than actual vault doors. Nuka-Cola started as a simple soft drink, turned into a monopoly-filled juggernaut, dabbled in government conspiracies, and outlived the civilization that created it. The real lesson here, capitalism doesn't die, it just gets irradiated. And that, my friends, is the entire history of Nuka-Cola. Now, if you excuse me, I need to find some right away before my kidneys start glowing.